Recently, Archetype Entertainment flew me and a few other creators out to their Austin studio to play Exodus for the first time. We spent a couple hours with the game, spoke with the devs, met Drew Karpyshyn, Chad Robertson, Chris King, and several other Exodus devs, and we even got to meet the life-size Salt statue. We got a little tour of the studio and got to take a few pictures, but most importantly, we played Exodus. And I get to show you a little bit of what we played.
Induction gate. Reinforced limestone. Virtually indestructible.
Let's see if our new friend here lives up to the rumors. Well, shit. It really works.
Salvager's dream.
Well, damn. Celestial salvage. We actually did it.
A lot easier when someone can open all the doors.
Now to evac and celebrate properly.
We're not out yet. Zealots will be on us soon.
Damn. They aren't messing around. Vanguards are tough bastards.
Flanker on your right! Close combat!
Got just the thing for you.
Glad you decided to evac when you did, June. Shit was getting rough out here. Well, we're clear. There's no tail. I'm taking the long way to Persepolis, just in case.
Looking for this? Do a job well done.
To a bright and prosperous future.
To the future.
Clearly, there are some things that have been cut from this clip. And while I can't go into specifics of what I played, I can talk about my general feelings. I also just want to add the disclaimer that I can only judge based on the small sections of the game that we played. With that said, here is everything that I liked. Overall, Exodus is coming together to be mostly what I was expecting. So far, I think the elements that really stand out to me are the environments, the world building, and the music. But before we talk about those, let's talk about June. No, we didn't get to play as female June or see the character creator, which was a bummer. But we did get to see more of male June, and Exodus has finally shared female June. Unfortunately, we don't get to see her face or hear her voice, but she exists. And now with her and June's new scar and new haircut, we've now seen 3 options in the character creator, which Archetype has said that they will show at a later date. Hopefully, this tease of female June is just the start of her being included in marketing moving forward. Other than this, we did get to hear male June and his voice actor. The voice acting was solid, and as far as June's personality, he did have a little bit of an edge. But he also did feel younger than I was kind of expecting. He didn't seem young and stupid, and I didn't find him to feel incompetent and unserious. He seemed capable and determined. I liked him. I think if he grows over the story, there's a lot of potential there. I'm also interested to see how he changes based on your choices. There is a morality system that lets you lean into being nice and being good, or being rude and dismissive and uncaring. It's not evil, that isn't the story. And I don't know how deep the morality system does go, but it is more immersive than just good and bad dialogue options unlocking. It more connects to June's kit, so there is more to it. I chose the bad options most of the time just to see what they were like, and you can be rude to your companions, but not to the extent that they're going to tell you to fuck off and then leave the party. Which again, June is a hero trying to do the right thing. And of course that means saving people. So he's not going to be some kind of irredeemable asshole that wouldn't really align with that, so I get it. As far as the companions, we got to see Elise and Tom. And Elise was my favorite. To me, she is the most polished companion so far with both her dialogue and voice acting. She's also got the edge that I was hoping she would have. And her and Tom have an interesting dynamic and kind of tension because of it. There is also some friction between the companions and June if you play that way. I also like Tom, and it's very clear that he's dealing with some shit, which is exactly my type of companion. I felt like the companions were complex enough to lean into feeling real because they're clearly hiding some trauma or pain or personal shit. Again, it was only a few hours, and it isn't like we played the entire game from the beginning, so it's just snapshots of the companions. But Tom and Elise were great so far. I also think I remember them having ambient banter, but don't quote me on that. Either way, they did speak quite a bit. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see any romance content, and I didn't see any flirt options in my playthrough, so I can't comment on the romances. And while I didn't get an answer, I did ask if Emrys, pronounced Emrys by the way, was romanceable, and again, I didn't get an answer. Another character I'd like to mention is Karavas, who is from Secret Level, meaning Secret Level takes some place close to the events of Exodus, so yes, you should watch it if you haven't. But you can very clearly see that there's a pop-up that says Kara approves. I will say though that her face in Exodus didn't translate super well from the show. She looked great in the episode, and I hope they adjust her face. I think it's too wide near the eyes and it doesn't look right. I don't think I can say any more about her, but it was really cool to see the connections to the expanded media already. Archetype also revealed Salt's voice and the voice of the other braided hair companion, and revealed another story companion that I'll talk about more in the full breakdown. In that video, I'll go over the complete reveal, everything from the interviews, and compile everything that was revealed on the 6th. We did also get to meet some changelings and awakened animals, and for me, the awakened animals are my favorite element of Exodus so far. Without saying too much, they didn't feel like that silly, unserious kind of, oh haha, it's a talking pig type of cliche that I think they could have fallen into. Instead, they felt like sentient beings with real personalities that also fit their real-life animal counterparts. I think they're going to be a highlight of the game for people like me. Talking animals and sentient animals have always been something that I have loved, so I could also just be extremely biased. But their lore is extremely interesting, and I loved the in-game portrayal. The changelings were also extremely interesting. If you enjoyed what's in the tabletop RPG books, you will enjoy what's in-game. They clearly spent a lot of time building this world. Which brings me to the world itself. The game has a ton of lore that has already been established, and within the game itself, it isn't just contained to June's story. There are stories within the world going on, and that's one thing about world building that I really love, that the world feels real outside of just what the player is experiencing. There seems to be a lot of depth based on what we've seen. And without spoilers, yes, the expanded media seems to be relevant. Also regarding the world, but specifically traversing it, there were jumping, grappling, sliding options. It felt more interactive than I was expecting, and there was always something to do. And it also seems like there will be plenty of side content for us to explore as well. We also got to see the city of Persepolis. which is the main hub of the game, and while we only saw a fraction of it, it did feel lived in. I can't say too much about it, but I think when we all finally see Persepolis for ourselves, there will be a lot to find and discover. Again, it was a small section and we only had a little bit of time with it, but I like the small area that we did discover. Though I will say though that I do hope the NPCs have a bit of more interactivity. There's all these YouTube videos that are about following NPCs around to see how real they are, and I would love to see that level of depth in Exodus. It isn't there right now, but again, the game isn't finished, so maybe it will be? I hope so anyways. There was also some interesting stuff regarding the music that I can't really talk about, but it felt very unique and interesting. The music so far has been one of my favorite parts about Exodus. I loved it. The home screen menu was also really good, and there's also really good ambient sounds. Overall, like the entire game just sounds good. What we played wasn't finished, but I liked everything that we heard. It felt like a unique take on the sci-fi genre with mixtures of other music that maybe you wouldn't necessarily expect to hear, but it worked. So now that I've kind of spoken about the main elements of the game and paint a broad picture, I want to talk about the tone of the game. Overall, the tone of the game feels mostly mature. But I will say that I think people are desperate for a dark, gritty RPG with evil choices and very dark paths that you can take as the protagonist. And that is not this game. There is humor, sarcasm, and jokes, and a mature tone, but in the end, June is a hero. The game still has complex choices from what we've been told, and an adult tone in the writing and dialogue based on what we've seen. So it's not like it's for children or anything, but I do think it's kind of similar to Mass Effect, with maybe a little bit more of a light tone. Not to Andromeda's extent, but it definitely isn't a Baldur's Gate 3 where you can kill your companions or play as Dark Urge. I am very desperate for another dark game, but I don't think that this is that. Though we did get to see a choice that June makes in the new reveal. Put down your weapon or shoot. And I don't think there's a black and white, good or bad answer. But if you did choose to shoot, then Phaedra seems to get shot. Two things that I want to point out about this. First, I don't like the bubbles that pop up with maybe some kind of preview of what that choice results in. I want to make choices and feel my consequences, not see them like this. I also think that seeing an additional picture in the moment maybe takes me out of it a bit. Aside from that, neither choice is marked as the good or bad option, and I hope that type of ambiguity is maintained throughout the game. I don't want to see the easy choice. I don't want to see the good or bad choice. I want to make hard choices. And I think that is what Exodus is shaping up to be. Obviously, we need to see more though. And I know that people are going to ask, did I find the dialogue cringy? I did find a few moments where the dialogue was maybe a bit out of place, maybe it felt lighter than I was expecting, but I don't think I remember it being super awkward or out of place. I will also say that I was trying to make sure that I saw the entire section, so I did skip some dialogue to get to the next area. So there's a lot of stuff that I didn't see. There was also a lot of dialogue that was unfinished or had placeholders, so it's really hard to judge dialogue without the full picture. Without the actor adding their emotion and intent, it's really hard to judge if the dialogue works. If I remember correctly, June is supposed to be around 23, and they feel like a mature 23-year-old if that is the case. Overall, the companions and June didn't feel like a bunch of incompetent, inexperienced teenagers. But with how important companions are, it wasn't their dialogue or voice acting that stood out to me as an issue. Instead, it was the face. Again, this is an in-progress build, and from my understanding, it isn't even the current iteration, so the game is still evolving, which is normal for game development, but that does mean it is hard to judge everything since not everything was in place. With that said, the biggest issues with Exodus are the faces. Not only the unfinished animations, which, to be fair, are unfinished, and once again, that is mostly normal. The actual faces are my biggest problem of Exodus. Since I've been following this game since 2023, I've seen the faces evolve over time. Tom has changed, Elise has new hair, Phaedra's face has changed, June has changed. They've all changed. Again, normal. But I think there's something off anatomically about the faces that makes it lean into this uncanny valley. The eyes seem too small for the faces, or the placement of them doesn't seem correct. I'm not entirely sure. I think part of it is June's eye shape. The tear duct seems off and the eyes need to be wider. He also desperately needs eyelashes, maybe even darker eyes in general. There's just some missing contrast around June's eyes that really stands out to me. They look almost shiny and glistening, and it just kind of looks odd. June's eyes, I think, are maybe my biggest issue. They really take me out of some of the scenes. The progression of June's face is super interesting to me because back during this trailer, he didn't have that same problem with his eyes. Instead, he did have that contrast that kind of darkens the eyes. So again, I think his eyes, which are the main emotional point of our face, need to be adjusted. I think that's why Elise looks really good to me. Her makeup makes her eyes look bigger. I'm an artist, so I focus on faces a lot. So maybe I just see it more than other people. With RPGs and games with companions or romances and stories that follow these characters, their appearance and liveliness and believability is the most important element to bring people in. If people find a character attractive, they will play a game to meet them. If people find their expressions real and believable, they will get invested in their stories. As humans, our interactions with people all focus on our faces. They focus on our expressions and how we convey ourselves. And if a game that is a character-focused one like this can't get that depth and realism with faces, I do think it will affect it. I really hope they take the time to make the companions feel more real. Again, I really did like the writing, and I like the finished voice acting. It was great. It's just the faces. And I know this is such a hard topic to properly speak on because attraction is subjective. The reception to the Expanse companions has been quite different to the reception of Exodus's. And while again, this is such a nuanced topic, I think the overall design of Exodus's characters need more. When standing alongside games like Mass Effect, Cyberpunk, Dragon Age, Baldur's Gate 3, they're lacking a little bit of a wow factor, something that brings people in. Companions are just so important, from designs to animations to voice acting. And the reality of Exodus is that not only does it live in the shadow of all the RPGs that came before it, it also lives in the shadow of Mass Effect. So yes, this is my main issue. Again, the game is unfinished though, so all this criticism may be pointless. But companions are the most important thing to me. And I think if they can nail the companions, I think if they can really make them good, appealing companions with complex storylines and decisions and great acting and animations and voice acting, I think that they can really nail this game. The potential is there. I think if Exodus just tweaked the companion models a little bit, this game could be an absolute banger, even without being the type of gritty, dark RPG that people have been begging for. I think with how unique this one is, with how deep the world building is, and with the choices and consequences being as impactful as they say. I don't really know because I haven't seen the consequences yet, but I do think that this could be really good. But I really think they need to refine the companions. It's such an important main detail, and I just think it needs a little bit of work. I know this section about the companions was kind of long, but again, I do think that is my main issue with the game so far. Another part of the game that we got to feel was the combat, and I liked it. And I'm leaving it for last because if you know me, combat isn't the main selling point to me. I love the story and characters, so there's definitely some other creators whose opinions you should trust more on that topic. But for me, I liked the combat. It feels like Mass Effect though, but busier. We got to use the recycler and kind of see its evolution, and we also got to use June's gauntlet. In the reveals from today, it also revealed that June uses a sword, and it looks like it's made of livestone. So there does seem to be some weapon variants, maybe some melee options, though I didn't get to play with them. We got to see our companion abilities and how to combine so that they synergize. We also did get to see a bit more advanced into progression, and I liked the controls. But I think it also didn't feel super intuitive. I might be the only one who feels that way though. Again, I play with my feet, so playing with a controller is a bit different for things like this. So again, listen to other creators on this one. But the combat definitely reminds me of Mass Effect. It's probably the thing I feel like feels most like Mass Effect actually. It needs work, and I do think it needed more accessibility options, like a standard hold for consecutive gunfire, but it was fun. The AI did seem better than what has been shown in the previews though, but I do wish the enemies would target the companions more. Again, this is all a work in progress, so I'm expecting the final product to be better. I think the biggest takeaway from everything that we've seen in game is that everything has potential. Everything could be really good if they're really able to nail down the refinement of all of these things. I also wanted to include a short section about the game's HUD. Personally, when I'm exploring these types of games, I play with no HUD. I turn everything off when I'm in Night City. It helps with my immersion. But Exodus's HUD felt large, like it was taking up quite a bit of the screen, especially during dialogue. I would prefer to be able to hide it or even just make it smaller. But we've already seen some moments between companions that are out bantering or just speaking during missions where the HUD appears between them. It's stuff like this and large HUDs that remove a bit of the experience, in my opinion, especially when these games are so conversation focused. It's just something I would love to see updated or customizable in the future. Another thing that I want to talk about is a question that I see often, and a very, very, very common comparison to this game. Does this game feel like Mass Effect? And my answer is yes and no. There are so many elements in the game where you can feel the original inspiration in a way that reminds you of where it originated. And it makes you excited to see something similar while also feeling something new. There are some things that absolutely remind me of Mass Effect, but does it feel like Mass Effect? Maybe, maybe not. There are a lot of things in game that remind me of Mass Effect, but I don't know if I really played enough to really know if it feels like it. I think it has the potential, and you can tell that the companions are supposed to kind of be the heart of Exodus. I do feel that focus, but there's also a lot of things that feel unique and different, which I think is a good thing. There's still a lot that we didn't get to see. So I think, again, this is a really hard question to answer. For now, I think I will leave my answer as maybe, yes and no, which is okay. I don't think that Exodus needs to be Mass Effect. It can be something new, something original. And it does feel like so far it's taking a lot of classic elements of RPGs and maybe making its own version of it, maybe remixing it a little bit. But there is some familiarity there, like I said. I think a different and better question is, do I think Mass Effect fans will like it? And yeah, I do. I know that the Changelings and the Celestials and the Awakened Animals aren't alien in the way that Mass Effect's aliens are, but it does have that alien feel. It has that feeling of going out and finding something new, meeting interesting NPCs, and discovering something that is not like what we know. And I think that's a major defining point of Mass Effect. You want to experience these other cultures and these other planets, and that so far I do think Exodus does have. There's so much world building again, they've made so much expanded media already, and I think they are putting all of that to work. And there are choices and consequences, I just don't think we really got to see them. But when we did bring them up to the devs, they would kind of look at each other, evil smile, and laugh, which felt ominous. So I'm hoping that means good things. I want this game to feel like it really does matter when it comes to our choices, especially when it culminates to the end. And elsewhere in previous interviews, the devs have really said that they are trying to make the choices and consequences really matter, especially in the end. So again, I'm hoping that we can see that with the final product. Overall, Exodus is both familiar and new at the same time. I think it has the potential to have that feeling of exploring space and making decisions in a tough world while you grow as a person. But again, with only snippets of the game, it's kind of hard to say. But overall, everything looks promising. There is a good foundation there, it just needs refinement and some tweaking, I think. I did really like most of what we played, and I think all the reveals from today look really, really good. Animations are on point, effects look really good, like the game looks extremely good. The world looks good, the animations have improved, everything is getting better with each reveal. And we're still a ways out until this game releases, so it's going to look even better by then. In this video, I wanted to be more critical because now is really the time for feedback. There are things that Exodus does obviously need to improve upon, and that's why I wanted to bring them up. But man, the game has so much potential. So much. It could be something really good. No, it's not Mass Effect. No, it's not Commander Shepard. But it could be its own thing. But honestly, that's really it. There's a lot of stuff I wish I could talk about. But I'm really interested in what people think with the reveal that was released today. And again, all of this is just my opinion. Please watch videos and listen to the thoughts of the other creators that were there, so you can get a broader opinion that isn't just mine. I'm the type of person to look for things that I enjoy rather than picking apart the things that I don't. So while I have a bunch of criticism for small things in Exodus, my biggest criticism is that the faces and animations need work. If they can nail that very important element, they could have a very good RPG on their hands, in my opinion. If they nail it. So fingers crossed that they nail it. I will say though that I am glad to see the early 2027 at the trailer revealed today, but I don't really know if they're going to be able to reach that. I'm not a developer, so I'm just talking out my ass. But it does seem like they have quite a bit of work left. I hope they can nail it, and I hope they don't have to push it back, so good luck to them to meet that finish line. But regarding the faces, if they have to delay the game to polish the animations and maybe refine the models a bit, I think they should do that. I cannot stress how important it is to nail the companions. So again, I hope with everything that they need to do before early 2027, I hope they can do it. And one last thing, Exodus's world is really massive, and I think it and the companions are the main selling point of this game. There are already 2 novels, with the second one releasing on June 16th. There's 3 tabletop books, with the third one releasing sometime this year. There's a tabletop campaign on YouTube, and there's also a secret level episode. They have already invested a lot into this world, which I don't think I've ever seen done before. The game isn't even out, and there's this huge expanded world already. And I hope the game is good enough to justify it. I hope they don't follow in the footsteps of CDPR, where they release Cyberpunk with all these issues, or Andromeda with its My Face is Tired. I hope it also doesn't release like Mass Effect 3, where the endings don't really mean anything. I really hope that they have learned from the mistakes of the past, and I hope that this game is as good as I want it to be, and as good as I can see the potential for it to be. Archetype Entertainment is a brand new studio. It's a brand new team working together for the first time. I think there's going to be issues to some extent, but I hope the quality of the game, the finished product, isn't one of those things. I'm interested to see what the marketing looks like leading up to its release at the beginning of 2027, and if they can really stick that date. Fingers crossed for them and for us. But again, watch other videos, listen to other opinions. Mr. Holthen was there, Dantix was there, Wolfheart was there. Check out what they have to say too. Anyways, thank you for watching, and please let me know what you think. I will have a video breaking down everything that was revealed today in another video. And you'll also see a bunch of videos regarding Control Resonant coming out. I promise I will get back into Mass Effect, but I'm very excited for Control Resonant, and I've been having a ton of fun diving into the lore, so there will be a little bit of a focus on that until it releases. Anyways, again, let me know what you think about Exodus. What are you most excited about? What are you apprehensive about? And what do you think of everything that was revealed? Let me know all your thoughts below, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.